Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Goomer22 here with a team reveal video for the VDL-V Create Season 6. I have not actually done one of these before. So we are going to uh, just kick it off and see where this goes. I didn't rehearse anything. Um, for this draft, I wanted to have a little bit more of a plan. Last season, I didn't have a plan, but I just kind of rolled with it, and I mean, it was still a lot of fun, and I think I had a decent team. But this one, I had a couple more fun stuff I wanted to try. So for the first round pick, I was 19th out of 24, and I selected Galarian Zapdos. The reason being, I think it's a really cool, unique mon. It gets access to Thunderous Kick, so unique, move, high base stats, obviously. I did the same thing last season. I grabbed Entei right off the bat. It gets Sacred Fire, unique move, and it's a legendary high base stats. So I decided to start off that way this year or this season and grab Galarian Zapdos. Being 19th out of 24, my picks weren't in twos, but that's kind of how I wanted to pick them during the draft. So I really wanted to try Hail mode during for this season. I've always looked at Hail and thought it looked interesting, but just never committed to it. I usually do like budget rain stuff, like Prankster with a rain Swift Swim user, or I'll do like a fast, sunny day user and a chlorophyll user, something like that. So I've always done like budget weather, but I never went full on with weather mode. So this season I was like, okay, let's just go for a weather mode. So let's do hail. But the problem was I wanted to get a hail setter and a hail user, slush rush user. But I wanted to pick them in twos to because if something went, it might decide which two I get. So I was like, well, let me just pick something that goes well with Zapdos. And so I grabbed Swampert. And I think Swampert pairs pretty well with Zapdos. Zapdos covers its flying or its grass weakness. So that's pretty neat. And Swampert's just kind of one of my favorite Pokemon too. So I was just like, let's try it. I've seen it used before in Series 10, so I think it could be interesting. I think it's pretty good value for Tier 3. So that's what we went with. So then we waited, and it got all the way back to me, and it got back to, and none of the Hail users or setters were taken. So I had full reign on whatever I wanted to take. And the thing was, so for one, Arctozolt and Arctovish, I objectively think Arctovish is probably better. The water typing covers fire and rock, which are good against ice, and and then the water typing makes it not weak to steel either. So that's pretty nice. And then also Vanillix. I use Vanillix in the Victory Star battle, and I was like, okay, so Arctovish and Vanillix are like a really good combo. I've seen Matrix use it, and it seemed really good value. Tier 4 for Arctovish, Tier 3 for Vanillix. But I decided to not go with that because I looked at Arctozolt and it just looked fun to try. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it, even though it was higher cost. It was Tier 3. I was like, I guess we'll go with Arctozolt. But for the Hail Setter, I could still use Vanillix, but the thing was, if I did Vanillix and Arctozolt, they'd both be weak to fighting. And I said, well, why don't I go with a fighting resist Hail Setter? So I did look at all the Hail Setters and look at different combinations. I think could be interesting. I really looked at Abomasnow, but I decided to go with Ninetales because Ninetales, for one, resists fighting, and just get that fairy type early too. And that was important because we had Gemma, the Sussex Sableyes, girlfriend drafting for them, and they were picking up a lot of cute Pokemon and fairies. And I said, well, and horses. Uh, but I figured that Ninetales would be high on that list. So I was like, I better get Ninetales fast. And if when it went around back to me, if Arctozolt got taken, I would have just taken Arctovish. I also considered Sandslash, which would be kind of interesting. But yeah, ultimately I was like, let's go with Ninetales. It resists fighting. It's fast. It's got some um, cool moves, and yeah, let's pair that with Arctozolt. So I'm gonna try the Arctozolt. I usually go with Boltund as my electric type, but I was like, you know what? If we're not going Boltund, let's get something crazy. So we went with Arctozolt because I feel like I haven't really seen Arctozolt used that much. And yeah, it just looks fun to try. And weather in general looks fun to try, like an actual weather mode, not a budget weather mode. So we're going with that. Now at this point, I still needed a fire type, and I was considering, well, not, I was considering Heatran or Incineroar. I thought those looked really good for like, planning out my draft. Incineroar went in the first round, so I was like, okay, I knew I was never going to get Incineroar as like a second tier one. Heatran, I was like, maybe I can get that as a second tier two though. But Dan snagged up Heatran. Um, so Dan the man. So I was like, okay, well that's kind of annoying because like those were kind of two of my higher fire types I want to get on the list, and I was like, well, I hadn't really thought about it past that, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna forget about fire for now. Who cares about it? Um, and then the other thing was Gert wanted Lopunny, a tier five, and it got sniped. And I said, okay, I only technically need one tier five, and I know I really, really want to try Persian Kanto. It's a nice, fast fake out user, normal type in tier five, which is similar to Lopunny. And I was like, okay, if people are snagging up Lopunny, people might want to get Persian as either a backup or just snag their tier five. It seemed like people were starting to maybe dip into the tier fives. So I got worried, and I was like, I hadn't really thought too much about the tier fours or the other tier twos. So I was like, all right, let's just get Persian because I know I definitely want Persian. I think it'll be fun to try, and yeah, get that fake out right away. So then it got back to me, and I had been looking at Dugtrio. It's a nice rock resist. Specifically Dugtrio Alola, though, because I figured the steel type pairs well with Zapdos, covers the fairy weakness, and it was a kill leader last year, and I don't know, it looks fun to try. So I said, let's go with Dugtrio Alola. Good value for tier four, I figured too. Um, so at this point, I was sort of like I didn't really have a plan after this. I knew there was some mons that I thought looked cool and wanted to try, but I didn't. I was like, okay, this is like a solid, group. One thing I was worried about with Zapdos was, okay, I'm fighting type. I probably need a dark type for psychic immunity, and Batista decided to go mono dark this season, so he was snagging up a bunch of darks, and so I was like, crap, who is he gonna get? And I figured that I would have a better chance of getting a higher dark type, like a higher tier dark type, like tier one or two, because I figured Batista would pick his high tiers and then use a bunch of his free picks to get like the lower tier ones, like tier fives, um, because there was a lot more of them for one, and there was not too many tier threes and fours. There was actually a decent number of tier twos. So I was like, okay, maybe I have the best chance at getting a tier two here. So maybe that's what I'll use my other slot on. So when it got back around to me, Hydreigon was available. I also wanted more special attack on my team. So this kind of fit perfectly. And so I was like, all right, sweet. Let's go with Hydreigon. Let's try it out. Should be fun. Um, and yeah, I was just glad I got a dark type that I liked, since Batista was taking a bunch of them. And then other people, in turn, were taking dark types because they knew Batista was taking them. So, um, yeah. The other thing was I wanted to fill out my main core of 8 Pokemon before dipping into my free picks. Last season, I did not do this, and it made it really awkward when it got down to the last 3 to pick because I was like, I didn't know. I was basically like, I think I picked up a third tier 3, and then I was forced into certain combinations of Pokemon to pick based on that. So I wanted to be totally free on whatever my last 3 picks wanted to do. Um, so for my second pick around here, for my 8th pick, I was like, well, let's see. I don't have a Trick Room setter yet. I really want to get Trick Room. Last season I didn't have Trick Room, and I think it really hurt me. So I looked at all the Trick Room setters, and I was like, you know what? I think Orbital looks kind of fun. And it was tier 4, so it fit perfectly. So Orbital I thought looked fun. I didn't have a bug type either, so that was nice. But yeah, I really just wanted to make sure I had a Trick Room setter. Whether that's use Trick Room or reverse Trick Room, I don't care. But I just want to have the access to it because I did not last time. So now it came down to the 3 free picks. And looking at my team, I was like, okay, I think they're looking pretty solid. I was a little bit. I know water types are really important, and I do love Swampert, but I was worried about the fact that Swampert is 4 times weak to grass, and I was like, okay, if I ever want to use water and they have a solid grass team, like this could get, um, you know, dicey basically. And so I was like, okay, well, what if I pick up another water type that's not weak to grass? Because I have Swampert who's not weak to electric, and so let's pick up another water type that's not weak to grass. So I was looking at tier 4 Tentacruel, and I was like, oh, I don't have a poison type. This is perfect. It's tier 4. That gives me a lot of versatility on what to pick for my other picks because these are the options I had for my free picks: 145, 235, 244, and 334. So 3 of those include a tier 4. So I was like, okay, it really opens up my options if I just pick a tier 4 here. And I feel like a lot of people were diving for their tier 4s and 5s at this point. Um, so I was like, sweet. But unfortunately, Tentacruel got taken. And so I said, uh, well, that stinks. Um, so, um, yeah, I was just really confused on what I wanted to pick. Um, and ultimately, I just looked through the tier 5s and I was like, all right, let's just pick something since Tentacruel's gone. I don't have a fire type. Um, so there's a couple things I didn't have. I didn't have a fire type. I didn't have a grass type. I didn't have intimidate. I didn't have an Eviolite user, which I always like to pick up an Eviolite user just to have access to that using that item. So yeah, I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I'll grab Heatmore. So Heatmore, I think Heatmore is okay. To be honest, I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world, but I just was not really excited about other fire types, and so I said, you know what? Let's just grab Heatmore and go with that. So then grabbing a tier 5, I was like, okay, I still don't know what I want. Tier 1 or 2. Um, or do I want to go 1 and 4 or 2 and 3 at this point with that tier 5? So I was like, I have no idea. Let's just pick the most I don't know Pokemon, which is Ditto. Ditto just fills whatever role you need it to. It's imposter. It's cool. It gives information. I think it can be really really fun to use. So that was a tier 4, and so then I was like, okay, at the very least, if I pick these 2 Pokemon and I don't use them too much, I can get another tier 1. So I looked at all the tier 1s available, and I just like couldn't decide on one that I really really liked. I was really in between Amoonguss and Nihilego because I didn't have a rock or a poison yet still, uh, or Clefairy. And I was like, I never draft redirection. I also don't have an Eviolite user, and I think Clefairy could be kind of good. So I was like, let's draft Clefairy. So then I sat on it for a little while, and I was like, this just doesn't feel great. I think I might want to make some trades in um, Grace. I still sort of like that idea of getting a water type that was not weak to grass. And I saw Gyarados out there in tier 2. So I was like, okay, I could trade down Clefairy for Gyarados. And but then I would have the option to trade Ditto up to a tier 3. And I was like, okay, well, what's in tier 3? And falling right into my lap was Tangela. And Tangela is a grass type, which I didn't have yet, and it has redirection and Eviolite. So I was like, okay, this is kind of perfect. It sort of fills out what I was wanting. Gyarados, I think, could be really fun. Um, there are still some things I think this team is lacking, but overall, I still think it'll be fun to play with. And we'll see. I mean, I know Heatmore is kind of a meme, but I'm still not convinced on it. I don't know. Like I might trade that out for something. I guess there was a couple other tier fives I was looking at, but uh, yeah, I don't know. I could do without a fire type. I've done it before, so I don't think it's totally necessary. But yeah, I was sad not to get a rock or a poison, but like I said, I think we can deal with it. And yeah, I'm really excited to use this team. Um, I got a few things I want to try, and you know, at the very least, we got 4 trades to mix it up if we need to. But yeah, that's my season 6 team. It's gonna be starting up here pretty soon, so be on the lookout for some draft matches. That is it. So we will see you all later.